everyone, I'm Kendrick Diaz, and you're listening to Verse by Verse. Peter and John had a long list of Christians who suffered simply for doing what Jesus said. The book of Acts records a time when these two apostles were taken into the religious leaders' custody for preaching Jesus Christ. The Sanhedrin deliberated over what to do with them and eventually settled on intimidation. So what did they do? They commanded Peter and John to stop, and then they had them flogged. Two innocent men, apostles, servants of the resurrected Jesus Christ, beaten for the crime of proclaiming the gospel. And you know what the crazy thing was? Peter and John rejoiced. Acts 5:41 says they departed from the presence of the council, rejoicing that they were counted worthy to suffer shame for his name. Now, rejoicing doesn't seem like it even belongs in the same sentence as suffering. Despair? Yes. Grief? Yes. Anxiety? Sure. But joy? If there's anything that suffering tends to extinguish, it's joy. That's how a lot of people see things. It's even how we sometimes see things when we forget something important about suffering. Let's take a look at our verse for today. 1 Peter chapter 4, verses 12 through 13. Beloved, do not think it strange concerning the fiery trial which is to try you, as though some strange thing happened to you. But rejoice to the extent that you partake of Christ's sufferings, that when his glory is revealed, you may also be glad with exceeding joy. This isn't toxic positivity. Peter isn't asking us to fake a smile and pretend everything's fine. He's saying that our suffering has meaning. The New Living Translation puts verse 12 this way. Do not be surprised at the fiery trials that you are going through, as if something strange were happening to you. Instead, be very glad, for these trials make you partners with Christ in his suffering. When we face persecution or hardship, because we won't compromise our relationship with the Father, we're joining the same struggle Jesus faced while he lived as a human being. His commitment to God also drew persecution. The night before the most agonizing period of his life, Jesus reminded his disciples, "If the world hates you, remember that it hated me first." And he said, if they persecuted me, they will persecute you. He was preparing them for the reality that Christianity means facing the same opposition he experienced. So when we draw fire from the world for our beliefs, we're sharing in Jesus' suffering. Not because our pain matches what he felt, but because we're dealing with the same hostility for the same reason. It's evidence of our connection to him. Now, I understand that doesn't move the needle on the pain we feel when we're suffering, but it's encouraging to realize that our righteous suffering is proof that we're following Jesus' footsteps, and we know where those footsteps ultimately lead. When Jesus came to the end of his testing, he was rewarded. He was transformed, resurrected to an immortal state, handed a spirit body, and caught up to the third heaven in indescribable glory. That is the path Jesus walked. Suffering, then glory. And that is the pattern for every Christian. Suffering now, glory later. Rejoicing in suffering doesn't mean laughing through our pain and denying reality. It means seeing a deeper reality. It's about looking at our suffering through a spiritual lens. Peter and John walked away from the religious leaders with bruises and welts, but they saw their suffering as a sign of their connection to Jesus Christ. You and I will face our own trials. They may not look like Peter and John's, but every time we're insulted or denied opportunities for being faithful to God, we can remember that we're on the same path Jesus walked. It included suffering, but it didn't end there. Suffering now, glory later. That's the promise. That's how we can rejoice in our suffering, by remembering that.
Verse by Verse is a Life, Hope, and Truth podcast. Check out the show notes to find more free content, like videos, articles, and booklets in our Learning Center.